taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for April 6th, 2022. Your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry, coming at you on YouTube and almost anywhere that you can hear your audio podcasts. My name is Ash, and I'm here with Subsidian and Moontag. As always, we are the Triple S League, and if you are listening live as we're recording this in our Discord server, please do say hello in the live chat. Leave us your questions and comments there as well, your memes, your whatevers. As we go through the show, this is a little thing we do for the folks on our server. Hey, if you want to join in on that, if you're listening live, or if you're listening after the fact and you want to join in on the next recording session, join up on our Discord server. Also, join our Guilded server. You will find both links in the description below. We are kind of doing a controlled retreat from Discord and moving to Guilded. But for the time being, the bulk of our community
it's going to be very slow.
It's going to be slow for the time.
And it's going to be slow because there's a lot of features on Guilded that are not on Discord, and not everybody moves over like all at once, right? So we want to try and encourage as many people to move over as we can, and that's just because Discord has decided that there's just a lot of things that corporations and politicians, and this is one of the main reasons why we left, is that corporations and politicians are dictating what you can and cannot talk about in, everything from memes to just having a debate on it. It's like they don't want there to be a debate. They want there to be this is the official information from the party, and we're all going to agree with all the information from the party because the party cannot be wrong.
My favorite part of their new terms of service, and that's why we're leaving, or that's why we are protesting and doing a controlled retreat from Discord, is their new terms of service. My favorite part of their new terms of service is you can't post anything that goes against the most recent consensus on certain things. The most recent consensus. I was like, wow.
In some cases, that changes on a daily basis.
It was pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Anyway, if you want to hear more in depth, we're not going to go in depth into that. Yeah, you can listen to a previous podcast from 2 weeks ago, or you can listen to, we released a video talking about it. The thumbnail for that one has a Toy Story meme on it, so look for that.
Yeah. And again, we just want to reemphasize, this is a recording when you're listening to this live.
Oh yeah, if you're listening,
when you're listening to this tomorrow live on YouTube, it's being recorded the night before with a live audience on Discord, which you
can join if you find the link to our Discord server. But when you do that, if you join up on our Discord server, definitely join up on Guilded as well, because we are kind of making a transition over there. All right. As far as last week, there was no podcasts at all because I was sick. I got the COVID, and then Max got sick, so we didn't do maximum news either, sadly. So we're going to be covering a lot of topics today. I also, having been sick with COVID, did not go to the GDC. Now the two things were unrelated. I wasn't going to the GDC anyway, but I think it stands. I would say it's probably most people would agree with this statement. If you are sick with COVID, you should not go to the GDC. Would you agree? I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like, don't go spreading it around. Like, generally work tells you don't come to work if you're sick either. It's just rude and unproductive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Saib, you had something you wanted to say about that.
Yeah, well, I just finished telling the audience here. So I had an experience when we first started doing like the conventions as an actual like company. Our first thing that we went to on the first day, which was the night that we arrived, because we were doing a panel and some other stuff the next day. I think we're doing 2 panels the next day. It's like we sat down in this one thing to listen to a talk. It was pretty funny. It was one of the ones where it's like more comedy than anything. And this girl comes in, adult, and she sits down beside us, which I happen to be on the side of. And she turns to her friends on the left and says, "Oh, guys, I'm really sick with the flu. So like, don't touch or hug me." And I just couldn't stay away though because I just wanted to be here so bad. Then she turns her head, coughs directly into my face, and then goes back to talking with her friends, not saying sorry, not apologizing, not even realize what she's doing is wrong, because to her, I guess, the only people there that was like, had any, right to be there was her like in group, and everybody else was just like, run them over with a trolley if you have to. So yeah, great people. And turns out there was somebody at the GDC who did that, except they did that as a speaker, meeting other speakers, meeting other, people, meeting team leads and stuff like that. The people who go back and then correspond and talk with a whole bunch of people. This was so rude. Like, so rude. I used other words before we went live, but this was so rude to go to a convention, to talking with team leads, people who spend their entire day meeting and speaking with other people, and they go there to knowing full well, not only did they take one COVID test, they took 2 COVID tests. Both of them came back positive, and they decided, you know what? I'm special. I deserve to be here. I swear, if this was a zombie apocalypse, these are the people who will kill us all. I know I've been bit twice, but like, come on, I'm really important. They can't do this without me. Anyways, they apologized, but made it quite clear that they have special conditions that allow them to have made that decision at the time. It seemed like a good idea at the time. So yeah, we won't touch that anymore. That's just
Yep.
selfish people doing selfish things.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
So,
Ridiculous.
speaking of conventions, E3's canceled.
Yeah.
And
who saw that coming? What was it, 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
Who would have thunk?
Yeah.
I was going to say E3's canceled and absolutely nobody's life was affected. But
hey, mine was. I called this like 2 years ago. I said that they're done. They're gone. Like, they're not recovering from this.
So what?
Like
yeah. Well, so what happened? So I mean, they're not even. We knew it was going to be an online event again, or that was the plan. But now it's just canceled. Mm-hmm. Period. Now, that doesn't mean that that game developers won't do an E3 like series of press conferences.
Oh yeah, no, there's gonna be tons of press conferences this summer, and they're probably gonna be a little bit more spread out this time because, why risk being buried in the news cycle, right? Like, if you can pick a weekend that that nobody else is doing something massive, then yeah, it's probably it's a decent idea to go after that as a timing instead.
Yeah, sure. And I guess what I take away from this is, and we've talked about this before, that the developers don't need E3 anymore to reach people. They don't need. Now, could E3 or the organization behind it or some organization like them, could they make themselves valuable still in the digital streaming age? Well, I'm sure they could, but they sure haven't. There's really just nothing. I mean, watching E3 over the past couple of years, I've never watched any. I don't think we covered any of the official E3 stuff. It was all, we'd go to, we'd watch the Xbox showcase, and we watched the Bethesda showcase, and we watched the.
Well, I mean, that is, yeah, but that's how they run their thing, right? Like, mm-hmm. The E3 isn't the conventions that are yes, they help to host and arrange those big events, but what they did was they mostly controlled the floor where people were attending stuff and looking at booths and stuff like that. That's what they really did. And again, it's like, they're not needed essentially for that, especially when there's a lack of physical presence at these things, and that people are more interested in doing local events. So you don't have to hobnob so much right now with directly with people at these mixers and stuff like that. You can just literally go to Twitch, go to YouTube, see who's talking about similar genre stuff, and then be like, hey, would you like to talk about our game either online, or like maybe we'll fly you out for a special outing or something like that. It's like that kind of press has been working a lot better and a lot more than the traditional, like, hey, let's get 50 devs, 20 execs, and 200 media people into a room and give them a bunch of booze and alcohol. Yes, people were able to get a lot more info back then, and I've got to say my sources probably going to be just a little bit harder to like clear now, because there's not as many drunk people talking. Randy, excuse me, Randy. And there's just not going to be that much stuff going on as far as like rumors and hearsay and stuff like that. But what this does allow is this does allow more people to connect via Discord, via Facebook, via Twitter, via whatever tool that they're using to communicate, just plain old text, whatever. And there'll be more stuff like that. So that's kind of a good thing, because it does mean that there's a little bit more specialization in it. It's definitely not perfect right now. The Upper Echelon did a really good video recently on why you can't trust stuff, and like trust reviews or trailers or media coverage at all on new stuff, because in almost every scenario, and I can confirm this, in almost every scenario, the story is basically scripted to be a certain way. The playtime, we never got our hands on an official like near release version of Cyberpunk. We were just not that special, and we never got to see the product that was nearing completion. And instead we had to go off of like what we were being told by other people, and what we were being told by other people, a number of them we've talked to and we've communicated with over the years, and they ran some of our stuff. They got physical copies before the release date, and when we talked to them and said, how is it, they said, yeah, it's all good, and so that shows that we, even as like fairly skeptical as we were and had been, because of all of the stupid, I posted this today, or was it yesterday? I think it was today, because Twitter, we're going to talk about Twitter in a second. I posted it on Twitter. It's like, I have been disappointed for the last like 4 years, almost nonstop, by big corporations making video games, because they just don't know how to. They just don't know how to do this stuff. They're too, something is wrong with the corporate system that is just driving these products into the ground. Not all of them, but most of them. And we hope that we're going to see a change around in this. We're hoping that the next Witcher is going to be good. We're hoping that the next Bethesda product is going to be good, and we've got some news to talk about that stuff. So yeah, that's that. Did I miss anything about the E3 thing?
Well, we got some comments in the chat.
Sure.
Rise Against Them says, spread out announcements are nice. Might be a decent motivator to stand out with what they're coming out with. ... Maybe. Turkey Master says, state of plays are generally enough, no? I mean, from what I remember, E3 is just an event to market your game through a live performance, which doesn't seem to be a great way of advertising to me, to be honest. All you need to do is show some great gameplay. It's just a glorified state of play.
Well, and I
have to agree with that, because it's like, even you look at what Larian Studios has been doing with like showcasing like the progress of their game and actually doing live plays, like with a live stream with real comments from like the crowd that's actually interested, not just like pandering to a bunch of executives.
Yeah, Larian's been killing it. Larian's been doing a fantastic job with their live stream events, and not they're not putting on a bunch of pretentious trappings. They do the thing that they dress up. They have some cool set pieces. You can tell it's a low budget operation, although they did smash a very expensive looking ice sculpture in the last one.
It's so great.
They did not smash a Steam Deck. They made a fake one.
They made a fake one and they broke it live, and people were like, "Oh my god!"
Or wait a minute. Was that Steam Deck or was it a Nintendo Switch Pro?
I think it was a Steam Deck.
No, I think it was
or
a Steam
either
Deck.
way, it was fake. And
Yeah.
so they didn't do that, thankfully. But they entertain through the quality of their content and sort of there's a small sort of homey feel to it, but mostly it's about showing you the gameplay. And so, yeah, E3, there's so much wrapped up in what E3 was that is all just, it's all just superfluous. None,
And they
there's
dropped
millions of dollars spent on things that do nothing to actually increase the sales of the games or to show us, the viewers, what the games are all about.
Yeah, and I
But
have to
these
say,
sparkles were so expensive.
right. I have to say that one of the biggest faux pas, one of the biggest failures, that they did here, without a doubt, hands down, one of the biggest absolute failures, was that they never, like E3 themselves, never took to the stage, like the organization that was running it, and they never did something like a PC showcase. PC showcases were completely forgotten about. It was wrapped up in everything else, and it wasn't until more recent years that some organizers, including that duck from that sweets company, it's really fun to like tweet at him because he usually responds, and we've had some like running jokes back and forth. It's been very funny. And again, the only reason why is because they cover the E3 thing. We can't even, it's Duchess, I think. We can't even buy, like, they're not in our location, so we don't even get any of their stuff. I've never eaten any of the things that they talk about, but it's still funny talking to them. And again, that was entirely done by having this communication via set up via the PC showcase. But what they should have done, what E3 should have done years ago, was create their own PC actual showcase. Like pump it up, get a host in there, but they just left that stuff on the table. And then over the years, Keeley came in, picked it up, said, "Hey, nobody's doing this. I guess I'll just walk away with this." And he's had amazing success with that. We've been annoyed with some of his coverage recently. How like something's wrong when one game that's like not loved by the fans, like hardly at all, it wins every category that it's in.
Well, the Game Awards have just been garbage, period.
Yeah. So we have our problems with that. But
Keeley's definitely not doing everything right, but you're right. He did kind of.
Yeah, he's still doing a decent job.
He stepped into that niche that was something that nobody was doing. So he started doing it, and here we are.
Yeah. So, like, again, just a lot of failure on E3's part. I have to say, without a doubt, that there is this political, and again, I don't mean political as in like political party. I mean political as in like cliquey niche, like, oh, are you a friend of so and so, and do you pay homage to the Sony or the Xbox? Which liege do you serve, sir? That kind of stuff going from like smaller companies to publisher companies to other kinds of stuff. And if you were like a new person trying to get on the inside, like if you were a small YouTuber, if you were a small magazine, if you were a small anything, and you were trying to get into this stuff, these people look down at their nose, down through their nose. They look down through their nose at you, and they were like, "You disgust me, sir. Go away."
Right out the nostrils. They just peer right through there.
Yeah, just like, and it was just rude. I mean, we worked with Upper Echelon when he went a few years ago, and it was just like, it was like pulling teeth to just have the ability for him to bring in a camera so he could do interviews, which all of the major publications were doing without a pause, and we had paid for the professional license to do that. And it's like, it's BS. It was BS from the beginning. And again, it's because they weren't interested in serving the gamers. They were only interested in serving corporations, groups, other things like that. And they didn't really care about.
Oh, yeah, it's this elitist club. This controlled access is bullcrap. But we don't need that anymore. Again, the developers can directly reach their fans now, and that's I want more of that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We need to move on, but there's some good comments here. Lady Reaver says Bethesda and the studio working on Hogwarts Legacy are doing it right, staying quiet until they're bursting with confidence in their product. I agree. That's the way to do it. Of course, doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be good. But again, you get this effect when you start hyping things too early. You get this inflation effect of the hype, and you get it's impossible. It becomes impossible to live up to everybody's expectations. And let's okay. So I've been playing Ghostwire Tokyo. It's a decent game. It's not. It is not it's not the be all and end all of open world games. It's actually, it's really fun in a lot of ways, but it's got its downsides. I put a more detailed review up on Steam and also posted it on Discord and Guilded, but it could have been hyped up for years beforehand and it would have been super disappointing. Whereas, going into it with almost neutral expectations was just a lot better, because it's like, oh yeah, well, these parts of it are really good. These parts of it, not so good. By the way, that's a TLDR on my review on that one. It's a wait for sale title. I did enjoy it quite a bit, but it's got, it's pretty average as far as games go, especially, can you sit down wherever you want, Ash, in Ghostwire? No, Sherwood, you can't. You definitely can't.
That's just.
I want to open all the doors.
But it's not it's not supposed to be that kind of it's not trying to be an immersive sim open world RPG. It's an open world action adventure game, and it does pretty good at being that. But it, there's a lot of there's buildings you can't go in. There's stuff you can't sit on. So, anyway, what was the other thing I was gonna say? Oh yeah, Turkey mentioned Witcher, the new Witcher saga, and having high hopes for that. And it's being developed in Unreal Engine 5, which we're going to talk about in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lady Reaver says CDPR has a lot to make up for. I'm excited for the new game, but waiting for release and reviews. I think that's been the lesson of the last few years.
Yep, basically.
Just no... The overhyping is I've taken to calling it hype fatigue, and I don't have the patience for that anymore. I mean I've often said riding that cyberpunk hype train was a lot of fun while it lasted, but looking back, it's like, what was that all for? For a game that we don't even talk about anymore. So okay, so let's see, what should we talk about next? We got Starfield, we got Unreal Engine.
Well, I mean, let's hop over to Bethesda and then go into the Unreal Engine. So some more screenshots were leaked. We're not showing them because they're leaks. They're also not that good. Like not that they're showing bad stuff. It's that they're like close-ups of like seams and stuff for like seams of thing. I don't want to describe them too much, but they're like objects in like placeable objects within the world or something like that. And it's like, so that's the leaks. So the leaks, not big. There was a couple of interviews. That's more so what we were going to talk about. But the leaks, all they really showcase is that we're not going to be playing the game in 486 anymore. Like people had a lot of complaints when 70, obviously for 76, but also for Fallout 4, that it wasn't graphically stunning, And again, the joke in that is that, this isn't that graphically stunning. But you can make a version of Fallout 4 and a version of Skyrim with 20K graphics. You can do that if you want to, and it's weird to me that there's so many people are so angry about like, they need to change their engine out because I want to look at 2K graphics. It's like, there's packs that you could just install for Skyrim that turn it into a 20K game. I mean, it's
Yes, in
massive.
fact,
you need a terabyte engine, but it's like it's there, and it's like
well,
it's like okay.
Bethesda even released their. I'm not saying they did it as good as the modders did, but they released the upgraded graphics versions of it. So it's not a limitation of the engine there.
Yeah, no, and that's what I think people are like kind of like cutting them short on, is that obviously people are still upset about them for 76. They're upset about the idea of having to wait for Bethesda to fix their games after release.
Yep.
Everything's so buggy, all that kind of stuff. And for a long time, the community really joked with them about that. And when asked, people weren't actually that negative about it. And sales reflected that, like hands down. The sales of the players of these games did not warrant or suggest that they were upset about the bugginess. They kind of laughed it off, and then they had some patches and it was fixed. And it's like it wasn't until number 4 and especially 76 came along that people got really, really angry, like legitimately angry. And that's because the bugs had gotten to the point where it was just an S show, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't play the game. They couldn't play with their friends. It was just a buggy mess that they had gone too far on. Now, Bethesda knows this. They have learned their lesson. I know they've learned their lesson. They've been quite vocal about it. They have done that. They have gone well past what, when BP, did that big oil spill and they killed all those sea life, and then the guy got on South Park and was like, we're sorry. Okay, it wasn't actually
so cringy.
It wasn't actually it wasn't actually anybody from the company, but that, like, their apology that they gave to people in the coast and all this kind of stuff was like, it was blasé, it was corporate up the yin yang, and it was just not cool. The apology that Bethesda has given has been like way more sincere. Like when Todd is like talking in one of these interviews, and he's like, we really messed this up, and it really bothered a lot of us. It's like he's being real there. Like, sure, you could say whatever you want on it, but I mean, the guy he's like you can see it. Todd Howard is not a good actor. He's got a couple lines in Oblivion. He is not a good actor at all. He cannot act. And when he comes on these things, again, and some people are like, oh no, he's acting. It's like, you expect me to believe that in a game that he's producing, he will try to act and he does a miserable job at it. Then you expect me to think that he goes out of his way to take like acting lessons for 5 years to say an apology on stage. I find that like a little hard to believe. Like, give him some credence, right?
Sure. Okay. I mean, point received, but as Niv said in the chat here, words are just words, and I think we would all agree with that. Yeah, they've got to show it with what they produce next.
Yeah, they obviously
nobody here is accepting. Or we're not going to claim that Bethesda's changed based just on that.
Yes. No.
So, in any case, right. So let's talk about what has been said about Starfield. So now this is the quote I found here, and now. I don't know. This seems pretty. This doesn't seem like there's all that much here to me. But you tell me if there's something that you're pulling out of this that I'm not seeing. But we've got Emil Pagliarulo from the studio saying you're going to create the studio's first new IP in 20 years is one thing. Actually pulling that off is a different story. It's been so awe-inspiring to watch Starfield morph into this amazing game little by little. And with us covering so much new ground, there comes a point where you're working on a game and it's just kind of a mess, especially early on, because newsflash, that's what game development is. Well, this is very wordy. Mm-hmm. But then you get to that point where the systems really start to come online and things start to work really well and gel. almost sounds like he's talking about BioWare magic, but let's not go there. And you see everything forming into the vision you had when you first started on this crazy journey. When that first happened with Starfield, it really was an oh wow, yeah, this is something really special. Players are going to lose their minds. Okay. That got me 0% excited. I mean, we've heard this kind of thing before. So
Yes. Now that's not really the like you gotta read past this because it's exactly what you said. It's a word salad. It's corporate speak. It's corporate speaking to professional interviewers. It's the stuff
Yeah.
around it. It's the news that we've been getting from sources and stuff close to people that report on this stuff. And the reports are that this is looking up. That this is really looking up, and it's looking up way better than any game they've ever released before. And their decision on basically Bethesda has decided to be quiet on it and to follow to not overhype it, to be direct, to be honest, and to be not to like try and overamp it. And so for that, we kind of have to give them some prompts because again, what they're talking about is they're talking about the journey, they're talking about the the special like nature of this, how this has like really grown on them over the past few years. That wasn't the speech that they were giving us when it came to 76. That wasn't even the speech that they were giving us when it was Fallout 4. That's where this is kind of like raising my eyebrow going, okay. So that's there. We've got the leaks that we can see that they've really upped their graphical game. They've really upped their lighting. They've really upped their general like stuff with their engine, and we're hearing more and more rumors. The ultimately, don't buy into this. Like, don't buy into pre-hype. We've said that a million times. Don't buy into pre-hype. Be
Never
prepared.
pre-order.
Yeah, never pre-order like outside of launch week. Because it can just be really disappointing. In some cases, the company will send you a helmet that grows mold that can kill you. Yes, that actually happened. And so
fun.
basically what we're hearing and what I'm seeing from some of these interviews, especially with the testing staff, is that this is their best product that they've made in years. And it's their best product because they've put their heart and soul into things, and they've really gone back, looked at what their best stuff was in previous games, and they've made sure to double down and perfect that stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're hearing, and that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the proof. What does that phrase mean? The proof is in the pudding. I don't even know what that means. But the proof
is in the pudding, as in like if you say, "Hey, I'm a good chef," you're like, sure you are. You all right, bake me some pudding, and then you bake them some pudding, and they go, "Wow, this is amazing pudding! Oh my god, god!"
Everything else you cook is crap, but the pudding is amazing.
The texture, the spice.
Anyway, the proof is in.
That little sweet after finish, and is that amaretto? Did you put amaretto in this? Oh my god, I didn't even think of that. And you toasted the almonds. Oh my god. Oh, this is so good. It's so good. It's so good. So yeah, the proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely.
Pudding used to be like when that term was invented, pudding was was basically like the best thing that you would eat in that week. That was the best thing you were going to eat that week, was going to be, that magnificent pudding from somebody, whether it was your aunt or whatever. I'm getting into the weeds on that. It meant something really awesome. That's what it means.
Yeah. So we'll see when this game actually comes out if these hopes are warranted. But yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of you're saying, like, we're not letting Bethesda off the hook either. We're not going to be hyping this game. Don't run out and pre-order it.
We're gonna start talking about it. We're gonna have a podcast kind of devoted to Starfield as more information kind of comes out. We'll kind of cover it because look, if this game is really solid, really good, better than Fallout 4, better than Skyrim, if this game offers growth and expansion, I mean, this game is going to be around for decades with all the mods and all the stuff, and it's probably going to be replaced with like brain scan chips where we get full dive. That's probably when it's going to be replaced, because it's going to be it's going to be the sci-fi version of the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout, and it's going to be really good. So if it's good, if it's honestly really good, we're going to cover it. We're going to do some mod showcases. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff we were wanting to do with a whole bunch of games that have now disappointed us, and caused us to just have great pain and suffering. Yeah. We're not going to cover it if it's like that. But if it's good, we're going to cover it a lot, and we're going to cover it with lots of good stuff. But again, the promise is that the game has to be actually good, and then we're going to balance that with the other great games that we have. One, Larian, obviously, Larian, their last patch, they came out with a bunch of new stuff. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't anything to do with story, and that's how you know that they're really working on a ton of story, because they're putting out these patches, but we're only getting small, tiny little bits of what they've been working on. There's so much stuff that they're working on in the background that it's really going to be amazing. So, yeah.
And as Rise says, then we'll see re-releases for the next 50 years. Yes, I agree. Coming out on every piece of technology.
Yeah. Like, there's a chance that this is going to be a brain scan game in the future. Oh, my God. Do you guys realize that?
Anyway, but can it run Starfield? Yes, exactly. The new Skyrim. But can your Starfield... If you can't play Skyrim on the tech in Starfield, I'm refunding the game. There, that's my new pledge. If you can't pull up your little watch, you know how like in Commander Keen you could bring up your menu watch, you could play Pong on it. You better be able to play Skyrim on whatever your Starfield version of a Pip-Boy is, or there's gonna be riots. Anyway, on that stupid note, let's see here. Let's talk about Unreal in a minute. There's a couple other small
Quick
stories we want to get to. So there's a settlement in the Activision Blizzard lawsuits.
Man, they made them pay. Activision Blizzard is a multi-billion-dollar company, bought for how much? 70 some odd billion dollars, up to 74, as low as 68, 69. Humongous deal from Microsoft buying them out. They are a massive multi-billion-dollar company. And the federal government of the United States, they came down on them and they said, we hear that you have been you're so bad that people are literally committing suicide. Allegedly, may or may not have anything to do with what was going on there.
Hard to prove.
We have all these records that you have been paying people incorrectly, that you've been abusive, that young mothers have had their special substance that they make for their children stolen from employee fridges that are clearly labeled, for that reason. And they had to put locks on it. Just thing after thing after thing after thing. Bobby Kotick himself, he called his secretary and threatened to kill her.
Whoa.
Allegedly.
I was going to say, you better...
Now, this has been all going on, and the evidence has been quite damning. And we've got to say that, yes, the federal government of the United States, the leadership of Joe Biden in his glorious leadership has come in, and I'm not trying to get political here, but I have to say this. He came in and he brought justice. It's a multi-billion-dollar company, almost 10% of $1 trillion, which is insanely huge. He came in and said, you guys got to go fix that company. And those feds came in and they said, you guys make $20 million a day. Guys, we're going to sue you. All these women that have been brutalized, that have been treated just absolutely horrendously, this overwhelming evidence, we found you out and we are going to sue you. How much do you make a day? 20 million? Okay, we're going to sue you for about $17 million. That's right. One day of 365 days a year, you're not going to make, well, you're still going to make like 7 million, like 5, maybe 6, maybe 3, $4 million that day. But still, this is going to teach you to insult women, drive them to suicide, allegedly, threaten to kill them, allegedly, do all this stuff. Yeah, this is gonna learn you, and we're gonna make this so that there's the state is suing you too. They're suing you for $250 million to begin with. That's their bottom line. $250 million. We're gonna tell them that actually this supersedes that, and if they're not going to be able to sue you for $250 million because you're paying the $18 million here today. The $18 million, because again, that $18 million, that's going to bite you guys in the butt. That's going to send you guys to the poorhouse. I mean, you're going to be so ashamed and horrified at what you've done with the again, how much do you make a day? 20 to $25 million a day. Wow. And the California government's suing you for how much? $250 to $450 million? Oh, wow. Well, I mean, it's a good thing that you have a bunch of people that work for you used to work for the federal government like 2 and 3 administrations ago. Yeah, just like it's really good that you have all these people, and we've decided to sue you for the $18 million, which in retrospect doesn't really, it's not really that much, but I mean, it's going to hurt. I mean, that's at least half of Bobby's like weekend, like, whatever he does on the weekend with a bunch of,
well, hell, he's not paying
young
it. Come on, give me a break. He's not going to be paying that money. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing, and that's as you can tell by that long-winded, storified rant, I hate this.
Well, it does seem pretty low. I just want to clarify that what's been blocked as far as the other, the California lawsuit is that claimants who, I've got it highlighted on the screen here, claimants who apply to receive money from the EEOC settlement, that is that's the $18 million one we're talking about, which is being filed by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. If people receive money from that, they waive the right to receive monetary relief from the DFEH lawsuit, which is the one being filed by California. So it doesn't mean, at least unless there's some information that's not being listed here, they might, Blizzard still might have to pay out over the California
it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder now. A lot harder. It is going to be a lot harder.
But in any case, it does seem low. It's going into a fund for claimants who worked at the company. It says starting in September 1st, 2016. That they clearly didn't edit this very well. So I don't know what that actually means. Starting in September 2016, maybe that's supposed to be. Starting after September 1st, 2016. But in any case, I mean, yeah, that for the egregiousness of the claims, it does seem low. Now, of course, then there's the difficulty of what can you prove.
And again, I mean, this is like this isn't going to stop them from doing this behavior. Like they made hundreds of millions of dollars off these people. And now they're being forced to pay after all these years, after years and years and years and years of abuse and neglect and all these other things, again, allegedly or not. And there's more and more evidence coming out to prove that pretty much all of this stuff is like kosher. There's more and more evidence coming out to prove this. And what we're seeing now is they're going to pay not even the full profits of a day. Like, not even the full profits of a day. That's ridiculous.
Bobby Kotick has just got to stop talking. I mean, his statement here, our goal is to make Activision Blizzard a model for the industry. Okay, you've already lost me. That is not going to... Give me a break. That is not going to happen while he's in charge, for damn sure. And we will continue to focus on eliminating harassment and discrimination from our workplace. Okay, well, why did you let it be there in the first place? Like, the way, corpo speak, absolve, obviously talking around it in such a way that it's like, well, I had no idea this was going on. Well, I mean, how, first of all, and yeah, right, secondly. It's my personal opinion. My opinion is that he knew full well what was going on. That's just my opinion, my non-suable opinion. But, well, we'll see. So, yes. So they're going to pay out pocket change, as is sadly typical in these situations, unfortunately. Speaking of people forking over pocket change for things, Elon Musk bought 9% of Twitter now belongs to Elon Musk, and he's going to be sitting on the board of directors. This was, I was pretty sure the rumors were like, I don't know. I wasn't sure what to make of the rumors that he was going to be buying Twitter, but he did. He bought into Twitter, and this was like, I had to go through like 15 articles before I could find one that wasn't just idiotic mainstream journalism psycho drivel complaining and whining about Elon Musk, or trying to make fun of him for all this, or trying to make it out like he's just some overgrown child. Come on, the dude's putting rockets in space. Stop pretending like he's an insignificant force on the planet right now. Like, so the articles that I was reading about this were just stupid, and were actually a fantastic example of the state of journalism. But anyway, this one from the New York Times, of all places, is actually just kind of reporting the news on this. So that's the one I chose to put up on the screen here. But anyway, so he is, as the headline says, he joins Twitter's board, pitching ideas big and small. So he bought 9% of the company, and you had some insight on this, like as to why they offered him a board seat, because they offered it to him. Twitter offered him a board seat after he bought this pretty significant stake in the company. Although it's obviously a minority stake, but it is a big stake in the company. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this, Seb? And live chat, I want to hear your thoughts on this too.
So I was just typing a reply. Some people are like, why should we trust, rich people? It's like, well, there's trusting rich people, and then there's trusting people who are inventors and who are rich because they do things that are very good for society. Do I trust Paris Hilton? No. Would I trust her great-grandfather? Probably not. Because again, not people that went out of their way to create good things for people. Would I trust the original Henry Ford? Well, probably, depending on where in his life. After the riot, I would, because he went out of his way to make sure that he was paying the most for any job in the United States, because he wanted the best people to come and work for him to create the best products so he could sell those products for the lowest price. You don't get that in any other system. You don't get that in a system where smart people are not valued. Do I agree with everything Elon Musk says? No. Do I think that he's better than giant corporations who have been consuming things like Twitter and the internet, and who want to control them and destroy them? Yeah, actually a lot more. Is that our only option at the moment? Pretty much. Because again, there's been a lot of people who have attempted to create a Twitter, alternative, right? Yeah, thank you, Moon. There's been a lot of people who've tried to create alternatives, and none of them have worked. There's some that are slowly getting more and more, that are slowly getting better and better. And we look, so you look at the thing, and right, and you're like, well, first there was AOL, then there was MySpace, then there was Facebook. Yeah, and you know what happened between AOL and MySpace, or yeah, MySpace, is that the giant corporations and the giant government lobbies and all of these big shareholders were like, hey, we're not interested in losing money anymore by having a defective, useless product that nobody wants to play or use or contain, interact with. Is there some way we can make these things now the permanent, like, upper class of, like, the thing that everybody has to use? And that's why we haven't seen Twitter drop, despite the fact that they weren't making money for so long. Despite all these problems, more and more we have government stepping in to fix the table so that the one thing that everybody's forced to use is the one thing that people are using. That's a big problem, because now it's not about creating something that can rival or put down or compete against these big things. Now it's these things are now working with government to make new rules, and anybody who's willing to stand up to them and say, you know what, I really don't agree with that, and you know what, I'm gonna use what I can to, like, force you to change. I like, again, I'm not going to trust him, but, like, he's better than every other alternative that we have right now. So, like,
well, I want to echo that point. Like, yeah, there's questions in the chat, or in the live chat is talking about right now. They're talking about why should we trust this guy. They're also mocking me for my terrible segue. You know what? I can blame my COVID brain. We didn't. It's not like we practiced these guys. You get the raw, uncut, unrehearsed podcast here.
Like late at night too. We should add. Like,
yeah, it's later in the evening.
It's almost 9 o'clock, and we've been up since early this morning. So
yeah, but, like, do I trust Elon Musk? No. I mean,
yeah.
here's my philosophy on it when it comes to people in power, whether they're politicians, whether they're business people like this. It's about track record. And if we talk about, I look at Twitter, I see it is broken. It is just broken, awful to use. I hate using it.
It's a cesspool.
Yeah, exactly, Moon. And I want your thoughts on this too in a sec. But, and then I see Elon, who is, clearly he's a little bit kooky. You just look at the way he names his kids. I feel like he's not exactly in touch with the common man necessarily, but again, he is. You look at what he's producing, and I think if he could apply that to Twitter, and he's already, asking people what they want to see on Twitter, putting out polls and things like that, it could be a good thing. And so for that reason, I'm in favor of it. Not because I think he's some infallible guru who's worthy of trust, but it's like every politician, even the ones I vote for, no, I don't trust any of them. Any one of them could go bad at a moment's notice. You just have to look at the. Turkey says, I think his wife has as much to do with the weird naming as he does. Yeah. Grimes is a little odd as well.
Just quickly,
didn't they break up though?
Well, yes and no. There's I'll go into that in the after show. So
yeah,
because I've Anyway, so I just want to say this. This will be my last add into this, and that is that we literally, like, went to the moon, and then for about 20 years we had this amazing space race push. Obviously, like, the moon landing was not at the start of that. That was kind of like in the mid range there, and that was amazing, and that was good. And then I don't know, again, like, guys, like, I don't know how much everybody has head knowledge floating around on this subject, but you look at the technology that was used to land on the moon originally, and the technology that NASA was using like 10 years ago, and it's basically the same. Like, that's the scary thing, is that somehow it was going great, going great, and then it just suddenly like topped off. We haven't been back to the moon for who knows how long. We haven't done anything in space that's really noteworthy. People were still flying the same shuttles that they were flying 30 years prior to that. They still had cockpits that looked like a bizarre, like 1970s technology push. And there just wasn't any new progression being made in anything in the field. Like literally nothing. A handful of probes, that's about it.
Well, I guess
Now you look
I
at,
thought it came down to them just not wanting to fund it, or like, why go back? We've been there a whole bunch of times. Let's send stuff to Mars instead, and that's what they did.
no, they spun down. There was going to be there was and there still should be a moon base built ASAP, because we really need to start mining helium-3. Like, we really, really need to start mining helium-3 on a regular basis. And nobody was finding a way to do that. Nobody. And then in what? Less than 8 years, Elon Musk manages to, like, I mean, you look at the Dragonfly cockpit today, and then you look at what they were using a decade before that. Decade before that, stuff from the 70s. Today, touch screen, everything's like electronics is like super amazing. They have like all these like backups and stuff like that that's hidden in the walls and all this stuff, and it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's like it's so cool.
It's almost like the government can't do anything worth shit.
Exactly.
What do you think, Moon? What do you think about Elon buying into Twitter? And then we'll move on.
Well, he did say he's a free speech absolutionist. Yeah, that word. So, like, that's something in the right direction, I think. So at this point, like, I don't know him clearly, like, personally, whatever. All I know is what I've seen online and in the media. So it's like, we'll see where this goes. But as far as my personal assessment, I'm like, he's got at least 1 point in the right direction.
I agree. So, and someone who's willing to be publicly in favor of free speech, as kind of person that I want more of those people in big tech, because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. The anti, well, I mean, you've heard our thoughts about that with the whole thing with regard to Discord. So SpaceX has blown up more rockets than NASA has launched. Yeah, but that's why they're making progress. Oh, and Shua also.
Right.
Shua's called it. He knows why we didn't go back to the moon. We didn't find any cheese there. Why go back? All right. Speaking of innovations that are copying. Oh, my segue game is not solid tonight. I will give you that one. I'll just blame the COVID brain, like I said. So PlayStation has launched their so-called competitor to Xbox's. Oh shoot, what's it called? Game Pass. So, what people are, even though it's really not, it's not a Game Pass competitor, but it's the closest thing they've got. So people are comparing the two. Basically, they have with Essential, the Essential version of their PlayStation Plus, you get online multiplayer for PlayStation consoles. By the way, why do they do this? This is so stupid. Nintendo does this too, and it's the dumbest thing ever. You got to pay extra to actually game online. It's so dumb. When did this start, and why are we okay with it?
Right.
Plus, then they give you free.
I actually did do a comparison of the pricing.
Oh yeah.
For their Plus subscription thing compared with the Xbox Game Pass. So like, the highest tier, like the premium PlayStation subscription that gets you like all the things and all the storage and all the games and blah blah blah. That one is about $120 US monthly. Or no, wait, hang on.
That's too high.
I counted it. It was like no 120. What was it? I had it pulled up for a second here. But either way, it was like pretty comparable. Oh yeah, no, it was 120 yearly. bad. So 120 yearly for the highest tier of PlayStation subscription, and it's pretty comparable to the Xbox one, which is about 115 USD yearly. So it's like it's a step in the right direction, I guess. But it's like, wow, you guys are kind of late to the game.
But they're also they're offering less though. They're not offering
No, right?
this Xbox. You're still getting, you're getting this massive library of games plus day one
Huge.
releases. They with the PlayStation 1, again at their base level, you get 2 free PlayStation games a month, cloud storage, and store discounts. That's what you're getting if you're paying. That's the $10 a month, basic. If you bump up to the next tier, you will also get up to 400 PS4 and PS5 games available for console download only. So not on PC. It's for console only. Their premium, which is the the highest cost one, up to 340. They say up to here because they're saying they're going to be adding this over time. They're not like all available right now. Up to 340 additional games across PlayStation generations. All plus streaming games available to stream on PC. So that's, again, we'd have to parse that out a bit to see what that. So you can stream some stuff to PC, that's for sure. But what? Okay, PS1, 2, 3, and 4 games available to download or stream on console. Anyway, I don't know. This just doesn't seem to have the competitive power, I think, to compete with what Xbox is offering.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, she was.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think it's going to, like, I think it's obviously it's like they're like, oh yes, this is our competition. It's like, are you going to be able to play some of the top games coming out, that month on there? And I'm going to say I'm probably pretty sure you're not.
Yeah.
I'm probably pretty sure that's not going to happen. And it's because this isn't what PlayStation does. This isn't their, game, as it were. This is their, this is their attempt to kind of catch up on something that they've been behind on for quite a while.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Well, she was making the point that this isn't to sway people away from Xbox. This is an answer to Sony loyalists who have been waiting for something like this, and I'm inclined to agree. But they need something to sway people away from Xbox. As it stands right now, if I were going to pick up a console, I wouldn't even have to think about it. It would be Xbox because just you can get so much more for the comparable price. But I'm happy with my PC, and that's expensive enough.
Right.
Starfield, yes, Starfield. And they already increased games to $70. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't, like, again, I think that PlayStation has been doing a lot to not be the best that they could be. They have been letting this really bad, like, crony capitalism kind of stuff impact their decision making. Before, they used to be really honorable and really, like, they were really interested in doing the absolute best that they could do with the people that they were working with. And slowly over the last few years, we've seen it get worse and worse and worse. And again, these things tend to be like yo-yos. And I suspect that PlayStation will hit a bad spot in somewhere in the future, and then will self-correct and will become better. They'll probably get some leadership in that's more interested in growing the brand and keeping it healthy than hitting a particular growth every year in a bottom line report. Because that's what happens. And again, I'm not the genius who thought of this. The guy who created Apple was. So he pointed that out, and we pointed it out on the show many times. When marketing people become your CEOs, your company is doomed. And unless you get rid of them and replace them with people who are interested in either making, customer service as their category, or expansion, or growth, or technological advancement. And that kind of ties in with what I was saying about the moon. It's like, and NASA and all this stuff. It's like we've had these companies that have literally been sitting, these giant government agencies that have been sitting there filing in weekly reports because that's how they pay the bills, and they're not really interested in pushing any new thing yet. Again, yeah, Elon blew up a lot of rockets. Yeah, way more than NASA did, but he also perfected the self-landing rocket, the reusable self-landing rocket. That was something that NASA could never have dreamed of. Yeah, and it's so weird too. It's so weird because I've been listening to a lot of like Dimension X and like really, really, really old, like 1930s like sci-fi. And they had self-landing rockets. That was a thing in sci-fi almost 100 years ago. And NASA looked at it and said, nah, never going to happen. And you had PlayStation look at the, the hey, like, let's make an online pass and give people free games to play. And they looked at that and said, nah, not really our thing. Right? And it's like, well, what is the thing that people want? What is the thing that's been driving the games industry lately? It's like, yeah, it's a lot of things, but streaming and access libraries have become more commonplace. Not that I don't actually like that. I wouldn't actually want to be on the Xbox thing. I mean, sure, yeah, it's great for games, but I actually want to. It's this really weird thing. I want to own my own products. I know it's so backwards and like what a
Well,
boomer way of thinking, but just like
it is, and then you enter the question of, can you own stuff anymore? But
yeah,
I mean,
right.
your point is taken. All right, quick interlude here. So you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast. As you see on the screen, we cover the critical gaming news of the week. Please see the links in the description to join our Discord server, where anyone can be a part of these recording sessions, and in the live chat. And our supporters on Patreon, channel members, and server boosters are welcome to join us after the podcast, which will be wrapping up in just a few minutes, for a post-show hangout in the audio room. So that'll be fun. And anyway, a couple more stories to get to here. So hackers hit some mobile game that nobody's ever heard of and stole $600 million. This blew my mind because it's like,
well, I mean, it wasn't exactly nobody's ever heard of it.
Obviously not. Obviously somebody's
2.5 million
no,
player base.
It's obviously it's got some players, but so hackers hit this game called Axie Infinity, and they stole. At first, I thought they had stolen the. When I first read this, like last week, we were going to talk about this last week, because this is one of these NFT, one of these games built on NFTs, which we've talked about quite a bit, and I don't know. I mean, again, you could talk about another problem with NFT games. What if the networks are hacked? But anyway, they stole a whole bunch of Ethereum and USDC. So they stole actual cryptocurrencies is what happened, which I guess were, people put their cryptocurrencies in the game to buy stuff, I guess.
No, they battled the pets and then earned digital currency there, which they can then exchange for cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's if you play it enough, theoretically, you can make money at it.
Yeah, but guaranteed people are putting a lot more money in there they're taking out. Obviously, that's how it works. But anyway, what did you want to say about this, Saib? You wanted to talk about this one again.
Well, aside from it being the largest theft in game ever, because I mean there were some theft stuff before, like in that one. EVE Online was as notorious for big thefts and stuff like that. Like in one case, it was $40,000 worth of stuff. But this takes the cake. This is almost $500 million. Sorry, not $500 million, $500,000. This is almost $500,000. It's getting really late. hilarious in its kind of like core concept, but also like, wow, now it's clearly in the big boys thing. And again, it's just another warning that I don't think technology is quite there yet to do these NFTs and these like Bitcoin creating things. I don't think the technology is there yet. Is it going to get there? Probably. Would I recommend you put like a couple grand into these games? Not on your life. I would not trust it with any of these products.
Don't use it as your bank
any
account.
of these NFTs.
No, but by the way,
I mean,
you were
good
right,
Lord.
You were right the first time. It is over $500 million, 600 million, more than $600 million.
Oh, geez.
So,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. I guess. Yeah. I am super tired. So yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. $600 million.
But yeah. But
yes.
again, it's like, why does all of this have to be built on the blockchain? I mean, and if it's like, okay, we're using cryptocurrency.
Well, here's the funny thing about it. They know where the money is. They can literally see it in the ledger for Ethereum. They just can't access it. They can literally see it. They will know when somebody takes money out of it and uses it to spend it on something. And then they might be able to find the person that way. But right now there's all this money just sitting there in this thing doing nothing.
Except somebody got access to it.
Yeah. Well, I
somehow.
mean, so they got access to it basically to put it into like super layman's terms. Basically, there was this cash register, right? And company was using this cash register. And then this new salesman comes in and goes, "Ma, sir, you're still using the M1 cash register? Why, I've got a 75Z, top of the line, brand new, way better security." And they go, "Oh, really? How much can you give us that for?" "Basically free." And they go, "Oh, wow, that's such a great deal." So like, "All right, bring it in. Let's set up this brand new cash register." "Hey, what do we do with the old cash register that has access to all of the accounts?" Could you just put it in the back room?" "Yeah, okay. Hey, just so you know, there's this really shady guy hanging out in the back room." Yeah. Well, just move the cash register back there. We got to get the new one running." "Oh, okay. All right. What do I do with the keys in the cash register? That open the thing and allow you to access all the bank accounts." "Dude, can you just move it into the back?" "Okay, fine. I'll move it into the back." Dub. Put it in the back. Shady guy goes, "Hey, is that the cash register?" "Yeah. Don't touch it, okay?" "Oh yeah, no. I won't touch it. I think he needs you in the front again." "Oh, okay." Holy garbage. All of our money just disappeared. What happened? That is the, like, boiling it down to the most simplest form I can think of.
I wish we had the budget to produce some of these things, or like animate some of your little rants like that where you do the voices and crap. Okay, so
yeah,
we'll
it's in the cards. We're working on something like that.
We got to talk about UE5. So I was going to give more time to this than we're going to, just because we're getting so it's getting so late. But anyway,
it's awesome.
UE5
it's
showcase earlier today. It's amazing. Go watch it. But the tech that they're showcasing right now, I mean, it just continues to blow me away. And yeah, so I mean, there's stuff that we have seen before, such as, I mean, well, it's still amazing to look at it in action, but the lumen lighting, the real-time bounce lighting that they really, and to understand, from my research on this today, what I'm starting to understand is they found ways to optimize this stuff so well that they, this stuff, in addition to hardware just getting faster and faster, they found ways to optimize the bounce lighting and things like that just so well that these kinds of things are possible now. It is now possible, like with their nanite technology, to take a full cinema quality asset, as like you're seeing on the screen right now, take the kind you could use in a movie, and just drop it into your game world and have it just work, and not have to do to go in and grind out a whole bunch of different level of detail meshes, and the software just takes care of all that for you. The bounce lighting, again, just looks amazing. And I noted a couple other things. Their digital humans tool looks really like they're just creating great stuff. They have access to huge asset libraries. Plus, and I thought I can't believe this was barely a footnote in the, in their presentation. They have a mobile app that will let you scan real world 3D objects. You can basically do scanning and photogrammetry with your phone.
So cool.
To scan in high res models.
I've been talking about this for a while. This tech, years ago, I was talking about this tech, how you're going to be able to scan objects in. So the market is going to be flooded with just people creating objects nonstop. And there's going to be a market, if anybody has a good phone, and you guys are hearing this here first, you can go out and start to capture objects, everything from plants to trees to rocks to household objects to clothes. If you happen to have a body, you can start to capture your body and put it in as assets into these games, and there is this store, and you might even be able to make some money while doing so. It depends the object, it depends on what you're getting, it depends on how much you charge for it.
How saturated the market is. I mean,
how saturated the market is for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you heard it from me here first. If you're looking for something to do, look into this app, look into ways to get this in, look into ways to port this in, to create a profile in their store, and to just start pumping it full of just random everyday objects. Go capture some really interesting objects in the real world. Go capture some unique places, some unique things, some unique creatures, or like fish and stuff like that, like wildlife, like anything you can fully scan. Wildlife is going to be a little bit difficult, but don't do something dangerous. But like, this is really cool. This is that.
You have a friend who's a taxidermist.
Yeah. Well, actually, taxidermy. You like go to stores, like really old, like vintage stores that have vintage stuff in there, and just start capturing stuff like that. It's probably gonna make you guys a lot of money. Just saying, if you do it right, look into it a lot. Again, we're going to talk about this in the after show. But this is technology moving at a very quick pace in the gaming industry. This is what I've been talking about for a long time. That step where we're starting to get into the place. By the way, this isn't the only engine doing this. Bethesda engine is also has, they don't have an app, but they are also working on scannable technology. Porting that stuff to an app is going to be relatively easy, and things in the future, making games is going to get easier. Way
I think that's
easier.
Because I wanted to, in talking about this, I don't want to just sit here and be like, oh, it looks so cool. And it does, because it does. It does. We could do a whole show on how cool it looks. But I want to talk about what this actually means for the industry. Let's talk about the fact that the first demo we saw, you see a picture of it on the screen right now, in sort of that desert sort of canyon kind of landscape with the woman walking through. One of the first UE5 tech demos that we saw, which I can't remember if we covered it live, but we definitely covered it. Apparently was, as far as GPU usage, wasn't any higher than Fortnite as far as the strain on the GPU, which is unbelievable. Now, granted, it was a tech demo, very narrow scope. It wasn't a fully fledged game with a whole bunch of characters running around everywhere. But at the same time, Fortnite is, was not going for photorealism. This was going for photorealism. So it's pretty impressive when you compare those two things side by side. So it's not, again, it's not a entirely an apples to apples comparison, but it is pretty amazing. And then also when you look at the hardware side of it, and NVIDIA had did a presentation very recently as well about at the GPU Technology Conference, GTC, I think it's called, an acronym within an acronym. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, like they're here's what I was actually looking for. Here you'll see some screenshots on the screen here of some stuff that they showcased at the GTC. So you look at this. So look at this, like Opera Theater or whatever this is. 160 million triangles, or what we used to call polygons, with 500,000 emissives, which are polygons that emit light, plus 30 spotlights, 3 bounces, rendered in real time. Then they have this Tiger video, which has, again, just an insane amount. This is apparently, this is a pre-recorded video, but this was apparently rendered real time with NVIDIA's hardware. And NVIDIA's, of course, I went and looked at this because I was like, well, with Unreal Engine 5 doing all this software stuff, are they going to be rendering NVIDIA's... I apologize for being out of breath. It's I'm still getting over being sick, and so yeah, we're reaching the end of the show, and so I'm getting a little tired here. But I was like, so are they integrating these two things? Is NVIDIA working with Unreal Engine 5 and vice versa? And yes, they are. They're working together to integrate their technologies. So what does this mean for the future of gaming? It means we're going to have super efficient rendering technology and calculations, of lighting and things like that. We have development environments where, what would have taken, millions of dollars of research and development and tons of time of engineers working on building, stuff that took tons of time before is now just, you drag it in and it just works. You drag in a massive model, put it where you want it to be, and it just works. And you immediately see what it looks like. You're not just looking at a wireframe. You are seeing what it actually looks like if you're playing the game. Just the efficiency that this is going to bring to the game development process, I think, is fantastic. Because
I want to start working on some games.
Well,
I literally looked at this. I'm like, I want to start working on something. I'm like,
I thought the same thing.
Well,
like this technology is getting really close. Again, the thing that was missing, I will say this: the thing that seems to be missing in this engine, which is amazing as it is, the one thing that I found lacking is their physics, their in-game like physics for objects. And again, that is something that they have not typically had a good feel on. They have pretty good movement physics, and that seems to be getting better and better, but they don't have the, hey, pick up the coffee cup and move it physics. They don't have that, and that's the thing that's missing from their engine, that is way better in Bethesda's engine. And I'm kind of hoping that if Microsoft could compete with Epic on the scale of an engine and do that and actually compete with doing everything that Epic is doing, and if those two could have a fight, and if that engine could be the Bethesda engine, that would be amazing. Like we're a ways out from it, but like the physicality and the physics in that universe, because again, it's like you can animate a lot of things in Unreal to like look and do things like cool and look awesome, but it's not real. It's like you can't you can jam something in and you can move it to the left and you can animate that, but then when you move it to the right, the technology's not quite there. Like they're getting close, but it's not quite
is
there.
it that we haven't seen it yet for UE5, or is it that
maybe, but I just, it's never been their strong suit, so I don't see why.
Yeah, fair.
And I'm
But
pretty sure that
there are opportunities for people to, like, there's probably third-party tools out there, or people can build them, third-party plugins.
I've talked about, again, it's like I've talked about this for a long time. One of the tests that's kind of been one of those like holy grail moments is like a sweater test. of being able to pick up a sweater in a game world, have a character pick up the game sweater and put on the sweater 100 different ways, and have it conform to the body in 100 of the different ways that you're putting it on. Right arm, left arm, both arms, stretching it down the middle, keeping it tugged up, moving it over, make it a robe, whatever. That kind of technology is not what we've been seeing progress in the Unreal Engine, but we have been seeing that technology get closer and closer and closer to being done and implemented in other engines, specifically the Bethesda engine. So again, it's like, I don't want all gaming companies to move over to one thing, as cool as that would be for making that one engine awesome. I think that they're missing certain technological jumps that can be present there at some point in the future.
Well,
so
and
that's the kind of thing that
Sure. I just think what I get really excited about is what this is going to mean for the indie game scene.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where I was going. This is where I was going with all that earlier, is because if you don't have to worry about all that technical overhead in producing your game world, you can zero in and focus on what really good indie developers are well known for, and that is the gameplay and creating awesome stories. But gameplay specifically is what I'm going to highlight, because that is the heart of your game. You can have an amazing looking world. If it plays like crap, if it's not fun to play, then it doesn't even matter. You've just wasted your development. But that's why there's so many indie games with like simple graphics, even retro style graphics, that have gotten really popular, which I get is also an artistic choice. But, so they can have a really low graphics budget, but still make a spectacularly fun game. And now, hopefully, they'll be able to do that, make a spectacularly fun game that's also, just looks mind-blowingly amazing, and was, with amazing lighting and stuff like that. Physics aside, I mean, again, to your point, yeah, a good physics engine would be useful. But I mean, not every game needs a super in-depth physics engine. I mean, so there's that to consider. So maybe they didn't make that priority, but I mean, I think a good physics engine is. I hope that there is that option for people as well. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm about done as far as the talking thing. So anyway, final thoughts from Simon Moon about Unreal, and then we'll wrap it up for the night.
Moon, did you have any April Fool's thingies that you saw that you want to talk about?
Oh heck, what was it? I saw that there was a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Fighters Pass Volume 3. They're like, we have a new character, it's so awesome, and then there's hundreds of other characters, and then at the very end of the thing, they're like, and by the way, April Fools.
Sorry, let me unmute myself on the actual recording there. I do have this article pulled up. I wasn't going to jump into it because I figured we wouldn't have time. But so what characters did they actually say?
They only mentioned one, Ira.
Ira,
which is made from this. Who is it? The original characters from like Denmark or something. Fire Emblem games. Yeah. Fire Emblem games character.
This list that you sent me, I gotta say, I was a little disappointed because a lot of these were not good pranks. The Nintendo Flex, this was a good one. Nintendo Flex, that just looks like a Game Boy.
Pretty much.
Some of the more like nuanced ones was so Lost Ark did a VR version of their game.
Yeah.
That's right.
They literally put all of their assets in their isometric hack and slash game into a VR world, and then created an entire a showcase, like a trailer, and they showed this, and it was hilarious. So that was pretty funny. That was probably the most like impressive one. World of Warcraft did some pretty funny ones because they just memed on themselves for the first time. This is literally for the first time in years. They actually memed on themselves and made fun of themselves for bad decisions that they've made in the last year. And again, a lot of people who've been following the Blizzard news were kind of shocked because this was something they stopped doing like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They just stopped making fun of themselves. They said, we're too important to be made fun of. But now they completely like trounced themselves. One of the things was they were making fun of like all the systems that they've been creating, which has been one of the biggest complaints. And then they also said that they've created an endless number of worlds that people can go to, and in those infinite number of worlds, in one of them there's going to be a dungeon that you can finish a few milliseconds before all of the other dungeons, and then everyone in the known universe of gaming will flock to that one dungeon so that they can get it done a few fractions of a second sooner. I thought that was really funny. Stuff like that is like, yeah, these game industries need to start making fun of themselves again, so that they can so that they're not taking themselves so bloody seriously.
Right.
But
agreed.
No, that was it. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the greatest April Fool's Day one. And of course, it's a couple days gone now. But I still thought it was kind of funny.
I hid bananas in the kitchen. Made my kids laugh. They don't like anything too shocking or surprising. That was the extent of my April Fool's Day. I was still sick though, so whatever.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Augmented Reality Podcast. Again, if you want to join the live recording session, join our Discord server. Also join the Guilded, of course. We have a great online community in both of those places, kind of straddling two platforms right now, but we are, again, kind of making a controlled retreat away from Discord and toward Guilded. Plus, you can find everything else SSS related, the merch store, the Patreon, and a variety of other things down in the links. The links are all in the description below. Of course, subscribe here on the SSS Podcasts channel, and over on our SSS League channel, in which we have a variety of other types of content, comedy, and reviews, and game guides, especially tons of game guides. There's a series I'm doing called AI Plays, where we have AI playing video games. The response to the most recent one in that, of it playing Mario 3, I was blown away. I mean, thank you guys so much. So many views and comments on that. Check those things out if you like, or come back next week for the next podcast right here on SSS Podcasts. Also, stay tuned for Maximum News. Hopefully Max is healthy and is able to do the podcast, the other podcast we do on this channel this week as well. All right, our supporters, Patreon supporters and channel members and server boosters are welcome to join us for the post-show hangout in the post-show hangout room right now, if you're listening live. For everybody else, thanks so much for listening. We will talk to you again very soon.